There is a crisis now in an African country known as Niger. I think some of our friends from West Africa know it better, Togo and Cameroon, they know it better. You have heard of the quarrels going on in Niger, in West Africa, about uranium being taken to Europe. That's how I came to know recently. When this crisis started, we started getting information that apparently Niger is exporting a lot of uranium to Europe and to France for them to use in their nuclear power stations to generate electricity for themselves. So this morning I took interest. I said, by the way, what is the electricity supply in Niger? Before you sell uranium to the other person, how about you? What's happening to you? Now I found, I was told, there is a measurement they call kilowatt hour per capita. Kilowatt hour per capita. Apparently, the kilowatt hour per capita of electricity in Niger is 51. 51. Every person in Niger is using 51 kilowatt hour per capita. The GDP of Niger is $613. Now, here in Uganda, our kilowatt hour per capita was very low, was like this some years ago, was as low as this one of Niger. But now it's about 300, still very low, but that's where it is. Then how about the United States? What is the kilowatt hour per capita of the United States? 12,000. 12,000. And there is a country called Iceland. It has got a lot of electricity. Of course, they have got a small population, but it is 54,000. Now, Uganda has got a lot of uranium. Some years ago, a Western company came and proposed to mine the uranium. They came here, said they want to mine the uranium. I asked them, mine it and take it where? They said, export it. That was their answer. I asked them, export it for what purposes? They told me, for the purposes of generating nuclear energy, for electricity, and other uses such as medicine, vector control, etc. I then asked them, have you heard a rumor that there are some human beings here in Uganda who need electricity, who need nuclear medicine, and who need vector control services? I asked them, you want to take the uranium, but have you heard a rumor that there are some human beings here? It's not confirmed that they are there, but could it be a rumor that there are some human beings here? Why don't you propose to build that capacity here for the benefit of these human beings who live in Uganda? And maybe we can put aside some quantity of uranium for supporting the economies of our friends in the West. After that, after you have addressed my issue, I can also share with you so that you also go and solve yours. But to tell me that you solve my problems and forget yours, I cannot accept that. They never came back. They never came back. So the uranium of Uganda is sleeping in the ground until we are ready to use it. We have now agreed with the Russians and the Koreans to build 2 nuclear power stations for electricity of 15,600 megawatts total. Imagine, just 2 stations will produce 15,000 megawatts. One, 7,200 megawatts, the other one, 8,400 megawatts. Our biggest dam on the Nile is the Karuma with 640 megawatts. The hydro. The biggest opposition of our plan of building an integrated national economy has been mainly internal, from some elements of the political and bureaucratic classes who perform the role of comprador bourgeoisie, agents of foreign interests Mao Zedong talked about in China. Unlike the national bourgeoisie, who build our economy, the comprador bourgeoisie, raw material exporters, importers of foreign products that can be made here, commission agents, bleed our economy. The national bourgeoisie, who are manufacturers, hotel owners, tourism operators, professional service providers such as doctors who treat people here instead of patients going out for treatment, internal distributors of our products such as food, build our economy. There are businesses which build our economy, which infuse blood into our economy. There are those businesses which drain blood from our system for the benefit of the outsiders. And these are the ones Mao Zedong called the comprador. Comprador is a French word meaning agent, agent of. Therefore, we, the raw materials producers, need to conduct internal struggles in our respective countries to add value to these raw materials, including coffee, so that we earn more from our sweat and create more jobs for our youth instead of dying in the Mediterranean going to Europe. We also need to sensitize our partners in the countries that have been buying our raw materials at same slave prices, that their economics is defective. What will the USA or Europe or Asia lose if Africa sells added value coffee to them instead of the raw materials of the raw material form and earn more money? What if the value addition is done to other raw materials like copper, gold, iron ore, lithium, etc.? Money to Africa will mean higher purchasing power for Africa. The Africans who now lack electricity will be able to afford to pay for electricity. Where will the turbines come from, the ones for generating the electricity? Will they not come from Europe, USA, Russia, China, or from other partners? So what we are proposing by adding value to our raw materials will mean putting more purchasing power in the hands of the Africans. But there is a page, I jumped in my speech. Allow me not to leave it out. Now, because of this hemorrhage from Africa, because of these raw materials, that's why the economy of Africa is stunted. African economy is stunted. I had jumped this, very sorry, very sorry. That's why the economy of Africa is stunted. Somebody from stunted growth is somebody who can't grow. The GDP of the whole massive African continent, with a population now of about 1.5 billion people, is US dollars 2.7 trillion. What are the GDP sizes of other much smaller individual countries? Here below are some examples. USA, 25.5 trillion. Africa, 2.7 trillion. USA, 25 trillion. China, 17.9 trillion, almost 18 trillion. Japan, 4.4. I've got lithium here. I said, no lithium will be exported. You make the electric batteries here, if you are my friend, and export those. Why do you want to export low value and you get more value? Uranium, etc. We've got a lot of uranium here. You have heard of the quarrels going on in Niger. There is a crisis now in an African country known as Niger. I think some of our friends from West Africa know it better, Togo and Cameroon, they know it better. You have heard of the quarrels going on in Niger, in West Africa, about uranium being taken to Europe. That's how I came to know recently. When this crisis started, we started getting information that apparently Niger is exporting a lot of uranium to Europe and to France for them to use in their nuclear power stations to generate electricity for themselves. So this morning I took interest. I said, by the way, what is the electricity supply in Niger? Before you sell uranium to the other person, how about you? And Africa, we who are here, we get only US dollars 2.4 billion. $2.4 billion out of a business of $460 billion. Uganda takes $845 million of this. Of the 2.4 billion, Uganda takes more than 1/3 because of the volumes we produce here. Now, this is part of the iniquities of the present global parasitic system. The present global system is parasitic, right? It's the one who takes from you and doesn't give back to you. We call that a parasite. So this system is parasitic. In the last 60 years, I have been involved in the struggle against this modern slavery for Africa. The curse of producing raw materials for cleverer people in the world to add value to those raw materials and get much more value from them. For the last 60 years and more, I have been involved in struggle against all of this. A kilogram of bean coffee of good quality may go for US dollars 2.5 billion to $2.5 a kilo of good quality. They call it something, some Q something. They give them some names. You may get $2.5. The same quantity of coffee, roasted, ground, and packaged outside may go for US dollars 40. For what Africa gets $2.5, somebody else gets $40. This is where there is massive hemorrhage of money from the global south to the global north. It is not only the loss of money per kilo, it is also the loss of jobs, because these are jobs. The one who roasts is a job. The one who grinds is a job. The one who packages is a job. All those jobs are exported. If you take the whole, now this is in one area of coffee, but if you take the whole spectrum of raw materials from agriculture, from minerals, from forest products, etc., the loss to Africa is massive.
Of the National Assembly with a view to listening to them and also addressing them to have patience and to maintain order, headed by the Senate Whip. In a closed session, the Senate further resolved that in the shortest possible time, the entirety of the leadership of the Senate should also have a meeting with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress with a view to bringing an amicable resolution to the current impasse. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the closed session? Distinguished colleagues, please take a look at the votes and proceedings. Distinguished colleagues, let me appreciate your patience, your doggedness, your resilience, your patriotism, and your nationalistic tendencies. And just to mention that for the avoidance of doubt, the Senate has so far approved and confirmed the nomination of about 45 ministers out of the total nominees of 48 ministerial ministers sent to us by the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The others are still awaiting security clearance.